class of the evening, the modified dragster tractor. The test puller is so critical in setting the sled at the beginning of any class, but especially here in the modified tractors, we're talking about 5,000 and 6,000 horsepower, pulling about 60,000 pounds. The test puller is critical, but we have got the #1 modified dragster tractor in the country. It'll be Tim Engler from Princeton, Indiana, 3 big Aries engines in his chassis called Mission Impossible. Here we go with tremendous horsepower, Tim Engler. Get ready to hold your ears, everybody. Mission Impossible. Turn it loose.
Tim Engler may have a full pull. We'll have to wait and see what the officials say.
All right, they have just indicated it's a full pull for Tim Engler, but Tim, it didn't look quite as straight as you wanted to make it. You got over on the left-hand side of the track. What happened?
Well, I don't know. We might have kind of hit a little groove there that one of the two-wheelers were going to the left a little bit. We had to hit the right brake pretty hard, but we knew we were first puller and didn't try to get too wild with the throttle. Oh, it looks like we come out pretty good right now. We'll just wait and see how many more get out the end.
All right, now look, Tim Engler takes the early lead here in his triple-engine modified dragster tractor called Mission Impossible. And here comes the toughest modified tractor on the East Coast. From Ware, New Hampshire, this is the SASSY MASSEY. And doing the driving is Phil Patterson out of Richfield Springs, New York. They're running 3 aluminum block Milodon engines. These are drag racing engines. They buy used drag racing engines from the drag racers. And here's the Hemi engines called a Milodon. Nearly 600 cubic inches each. It'll crank about 17 or 1,800 horsepower per engine. Here he comes, the SASSY MASSEY.
SASSY MASSEY swerves hard to the right, losing valuable distance. Tough luck for Phil Patterson.
Well, Bob Elliott's got these front 2 engines hooked crank to crank. The third engine has a drop box going down to the main drive shaft. Goes right into the rear end. Now the drivers are having a tough time coming off the starting line. Let's see if he backs out of the throttle to set the tires. Is going to be short of the 150-foot mark.
A strong run for Fancy Farmer, but nothing like the full pull he needed to match Tim Engler.
Here is the current points leader, ladies and gentlemen, on the 1988 Redman All-American Pulling Circuit. He's got $75,000 worth of engines alone. Watch that hand on the throttle. All of these guys use a hand throttle. Watch the butterflies open up with the superchargers. About 6,000 horsepower. He's got to get locked into the track. He may back out of it to set the tires. He's got to have simply a full pull to tie Tim Engler to send this class into a pull-off. Paul Norman, the All-Pro War Wagon. Light on the front end. Oh, boy. He missed the weight. He made it more weight out on the front.
We'll be back with more modified tractor action after this commercial message. Stay tuned.
When this tractor runs outdoors, he runs 5 engines. Running 3 engines indoors. The mean MISTREATER, Fred Freeman. Watch his right hand on the throttle. Watch those butterflies open up with a supercharger. He needs a full pull to tie from Waitsville, Indiana, Fred Freeman. He had to touch the brakes. Paul Norman went to the right. Fred Freeman went to the right. It's going to be close for second place. Fred Freeman is now number 2 at 167.01. Here's Steve Boening out of LaGrange, Texas. His dragster tractor called Orange Crush. And he's got 3 Hemi engines out there. The front 2, crank to crank, the back engine with a drop box. A very popular setup in the modified dragster pulling class. Steve Boening from Texas. A great pull by Steve Boening. Well, your motors came to life. How much horsepower out of these 3 KB?
Somewhere around 5,000 to 6,000.
Well, I tell you, you had the power tonight. This is going to be very close for second place. Congratulations.
All right, thank you.
All right, Steve Boening with the Orange Crush makes a great run. He's got to be happy with that pull. Here is the final tractor in the class, John Hileman, in a brand new tractor in 1988. Here we go now. He's got to have a full pull to tie. John Hileman. And John Hileman not getting hooked up at all.
Tim Engler wins it all with a fantastic full pull on a track that nobody else in the class could seem to master. He found the groove down the left side and locked it in all the way down. The others tried to follow, but seemed unable to keep it from pulling right. It takes the consummate skill of a puller like Engler to hold one of these big powerhouses all the way down the sideline. Truly a championship run.
Well, I'll tell you, the pulling was great here in Birmingham, Alabama, and the fans loved it. Always one of the biggest shows on the Red Man TNT All-American Pulling.
Is sponsored by Warren Industries.
Sit back, buckle up, and get ready for the battle of the big guns.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to the TNT Red Man All-American Pulling Circuit. I'm Dave Grimm, and welcome to tonight's broadcast as we come to you from the Birmingham Jefferson Coliseum in Birmingham, Alabama. Always one of the biggest and best on the TNT Red Man All-American Pulling Circuit. We're ready to go with the action, so sit back, relax, and enjoy the Red Man TNT All-American Pulling Circuit. This will be our first official distance in the two-wheel drive super modified class. Mark Haerr in a 1984 Chevrolet body with a KB Hemi under the hood. And Mark Haerr has trouble getting a hold of the track.
It's shaping up to be a tough night in Birmingham. The track is slick, and it's going to be a challenge for the pullers to dial into it. The officials have decided to lighten the sled, and Stitches will be the new test puller.
Following the restart in this class, Jim Lyons now will be our official test puller. Jim is the top engine builder on the Red Man TNT circuit, and he hails from Louisville, Kentucky. This guy just doesn't like to lose. And Jim Lyons is known for putting the hammer down, and let's see if he does it right now. Jim Lyons with the Stitches 10-Ken truck from Louisville, Kentucky. Jim with the GMC running right down the center of the track. They have taken weight out of the weight transfer machine. They've lightened up the sled, so he will be our puller here on the restart, considered the test puller in the class. Not only has a four-wheel drive, but also the two-wheel drive you see in this class right now.
Stitch's rear wheels spinning out, unable to get a bite on the track. And it's doubtful that Jim Lyons will take that pull, but he has the option.
Well, you can see Jim Lyons having trouble getting matched up to this track. And Jim, what's it going to take for a puller to get locked into the track?
Well, I don't know, Dave. It's not taking a lot of weight, and you just can't hook to it.
Can you drop some gears and run a lower tire speed?
We could, but that wouldn't help either.
So what's it going to take to win?
Just ever who can figure out how to drive on it. I'm going to drop and go back fourth.
All right. Well, Jim Lyons will decline that run. He will drop 4 positions. He'll get another shot at the sled. Let's see if he can improve. Well, with this track being a little bit on the wet side tonight, the two-wheel drive pullers may have a lot of trouble getting locked into the track because they spin their tires much faster. It may take like this in Birmingham to win the pull.
Now it's up to the pulling teams to figure out the proper proportion of weight distribution and horsepower that will beat the track tonight in Birmingham. The rest of the field will be watching these early runs closely. First up will be young Tim Mchalsky out of LaGrange, Texas, in serious business.
This is one beautiful truck. Anything goes in this class as long as they meet the wheelbase requirements. They're limited to one V8 engine. From there on, it's anybody's ball game. Jim Lyons says he doesn't know what it's going to take to win. Let's see if Tim Mchalsky does, rather, from LaGrange, Texas, the 41 Chevrolet called Serious Business.
A good run for Tim Mchalsky. The front end really got up in the air. He may have been a little light.
Mike, it was a good run. Tell us about it.
I guess it's all right.
A little light on the front?
No, not too bad.
All right, now we come right back to Mark Haerr, the farmer from Springfield, Ohio. That's about 40 miles west of Columbus, Ohio, the Buckeye capital. A lot of good pulling takes place in the Buckeye State, and Mark Haerr is one of the top pullers. He's not had the kind of season that he wants, though, however, on the Redman circuit. He's only number 12 for 1988. He has switched motors and gone to a big KB called the Keith Black Chrysler Hemi engine. A year ago, he ran what was called the Aries, an all-aluminum block engine, but they were not satisfied with the kind of service they were getting from the Aries people. So they went to the Keith Black with a veiny head, and they've been very satisfied for 88. Mark Haerr and Mike. And we have a new leader. Mark Haerr has taken the lead. Mark Haerr, you've taken the lead now in this class. What's it going to take for these pullers to catch you?
Well, it's going to take a good hole shot. It's really hard getting it out of the hole there, and the track has got the capability of being a good track, but it's a little greasy on the top, you know, and if you light them too hard, it seems like it just spins and you never get hooked in, and so you got to drive out and get a good hook and have your weight right. But I don't think that'll be good enough to win, but, you know, that's all we could do.
All right, thanks, Mark.
Thank you.
Mark Haerr from Springfield, Ohio, feels that his distance will be beat. But for now, he's in the lead at 152.83. And here comes Jim Lyons now out of Louisville, Kentucky, the Stitches 1010 GMC. And Jim Lyons with too much wheel speed. Jim Lyons having trouble coming down the track, and this has just not been his night at all. Normally, Jim Lyons is in the top 3 at any pull you go to in America, and sometimes they go your way, and sometimes they don't. All right, for you Chevrolet fans, look at this, an El Camino. He's running the Aries engines, all aluminum block, 575 cubic inches, about $30,000 for this engine right here. $60,000 invested in this two-wheel drive super modified. The Midnight Express, Kenny Lamont from Illinois. And Kenny Lamont comes up short. Kenny Lamont now 147.65, number 3. For Kenny, number 3 behind Tim Mchalsky. Mark Haerr is still in the lead at 152.